Hello and welcome back to Tetris Football. Today we are doing our match week 6 reaction. Sorry, messed up. Thought I was Ryan there for a second. But yeah, it was a quite interesting weekend. VAR causing a problem. General concession on that is that no one likes VAR at the moment. We'll touch on that in another video. But let's get straight into the games. First game was
Everton versus Liverpool, the Merseyside derby.
That ended 0-0, I believe. Me and Ryan both predicted 4-0. Ryan, would you like to talk first?
Don't like what happened in that game. I think Liverpool, much the poorer side. I think that Everton got robbed by VAR. I don't think it was offside. I think
it clearly was.
More pay. No,
I don't think it was offside.
I don't think it was offside. And I think if it was offside, it's by a toenail. How can toenail affect a football game? So
that was Alan Shearer. It would have been onside.
If it was a Liverpool goal, probably would have been counted as onside. But I mean, Mopé, great delivery across the box, and then a boyhood club supporter of Liverpool, Connor Cody, smashed it in against his boyhood club. I think Liverpool were poor throughout, couldn't finish their dinner, didn't really have much positive to say about them. I mean, I know I went for 4-0, but I really should have gone for an Everton win. Because Liverpool are just so poor right now.
Okay, well, he's just annoyed that I threw his hat away and the fact that he's the one that messed up the last recording. So he's just being salty at this point. He literally said Liverpool should have scored like 3 goals last time. Yeah, moving on. Liverpool didn't play the best.
Actually reflected.
Elliot and Firmino didn't really play. They played really well. Gomez did alright at the back. No one else looked particularly brilliant. And we did hit the post and bar like 3-4 times. Could have scored on a different day. Obviously, Pickford played really well for no reason, really. He's a really inconsistent keeper. Sometimes he does amazing, and other times he's really poor. But yeah, I predicted 4-0. If that was wrong, Joe, what do you think?
I went for 3-1 to Liverpool. I knew that Everton would score because they were at home. Initially, I was actually I did mention in the prediction video, I was going to say 5-0 Liverpool originally, but then I changed my mind at the last minute and went 3-1. But I thought they would have been a much better side. Everton will be feeling hard done by with scoring that goal and getting it ruled out by the finest margin. I think BT Sport were being hard done by. The only game they got of the whole weekend and 0-0. But yeah, overall pretty bad match at Goodison Park.
Yeah, well, Tom?
I went for 3-0 for Liverpool in this game. I mean, I think Liverpool just couldn't score really. It had quite a few chances.
Yeah, just couldn't quite put it away. Pickford did play well.
The boyhood Liverpool fan, he scored, but I think it was ruled out by VAR.
Shouldn't have been ruled out though.
Brentford versus Leeds is next.
Very exciting game, 5-2 to Brentford. Unlike pretty much every other game this weekend, I did get a point for this game. Other than the Tottenham one, it's the only one I got a point for. I went for 1-0 Brentford. I thought it'd be a lot closer of a game. Wasn't quite expecting the free-flowing sort of offensive game that it was. With obviously Toney getting a brilliant hat-trick, free kick, brilliant goals, a penalty as well, and pretty much a striker's perfect hat-trick in the end. Brilliant game from him, and yeah, Leeds just were overrun by Brentford in that game, I guess, and 1-0 won the Brentford side prediction, got a point for that.
Both me and Tom went for 1-1, didn't we? I generally thought that it'd be quite an even game, but of course Brentford did run away with it in the end. Leeds were a little bit put off by not only Marsh getting sent off, but also incidences involving the lack of Rodrigo, I think, and just being overwhelmed by the Brentford fans, maybe. Yeah. But Toney was having a great day in a 5-2 score, you're thinking?
I mean, I think definitely Rodrigo affected him quite a bit. So I don't know how many goals he scored, but I know it's quite a few this season.
He's got 4 so far, I think. He's one of the top scorers.
As I think, because of Rafinha leaving, I think that definitely made Rodrigo kind of the main man. So
yeah,
I think they had to. I don't know who they used as the kind of main kind of player in that game, but obviously Toney had a great game, as we said. I think he got a hat-trick.
He got a hat-trick, yeah. Toney was pretty much the headline maker of that game.
Yeah, a great day for Brentford fans, really.
Yeah, and Ryan, what did you have?
Well, I went for a 2-1 lead tonight, I think.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a silly move by me. I mean, I didn't realise that Rodrigo was injured, and I think if I did realise, I probably would have gone for a 2-1 Brentford victory. I just think this game was probably one of them that should have been tight, but I think Marsh getting sent off just really threw off that Leeds side, and I think Toney got in their heads, and then he scored 3, and couldn't do much about him.
Yeah, well, what's the next game up? This time we'll start with Ryan, whoever it was.
Well, the heart of the controversial weekend with VAR were Chelsea and West Ham at Stamford Bridge.
well, I hate VAR, and I'm a Chelsea fan. I just think it's ruining the game. I'd rather actually have a draw and VAR be out the game than have the win with VAR in the game. I just think VAR is such a bad tool. No one can use it properly, so get it out of the game. I think it's obviously not a foul. Mendy does his silly thing where he runs into opposition and tries to con the referees. It's actually came off for him for once, so I think he's not really a good goalkeeper for us anymore. I think we should let Kepa have a go. Say Tuchel, get out, get Pochettino in. I mean, I could make a whole video on how to fix Chelsea.
I don't think he would go there, though. Pochettino, especially considering the battle of the bridge.
Pay him $500 a week and probably would.
Okay. If you pay a manager that much, that's ridiculous. But anyway, Joe, Tom, what did you guys have?
I pay
I
Mendy.
went for 3-1 to Chelsea on this one. I thought they'd get the goals, but I mean they did win, but they shouldn't have got that goal anyway. I'm pretty sure there was another incident when I think it was Reece James kicked Antonio. I'm pretty sure.
He did.
I mean, he deserved it.
I went for 1-1 draw. Should have been a 2-2 draw. I think we can all agree with David Moyes in saying it was scandalous and disgusting what happened with the VAR, and of course the entire decision was under review for a day. But I think it just goes to show that teams like Chelsea are still benefiting very strongly from VAR, which
Didn't see the Tottenham game then.
Isn't much.
Still being salty.
Well, we had 2 goals all round. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
No, the Tottenham Chelsea game.
So I think a lot happened.
Yeah.
But West Ham will be feeling really, really hard done by from that. And I feel bad for the fans more than anything else that have travelled there, the West Ham fans, and they've lost their money to witness that.
Well, luckily it's not too far for them, still in London. But I predicted a 1-0 West Ham win. I did predict Chelsea to drop points, just went a bit too far instead of saying a draw, which realistically it should have been a draw in that game. Stupid goal to be disallowed.
Didn't end up that way though.
But overall, Chelsea did win very fortunately with some money handed to the VAR operators.
$50,000 I heard.
Did see that.
Yeah, basically Chelsea got lucky with VAR, should have dropped points, but next game up.
Newcastle versus Crystal.
Liverpool.
I'm trying to talk here. Newcastle versus Crystal Palace at St James's Park ended goallessly, obviously, but that was far from what a lot of us
Newcastle should
predicted.
have won.
Yeah, another controversial decision there.
VAR is just stealing the headlines this weekend.
It has, yeah.
For this game, I actually predicted Palace 2-1 win because they surprised me in games before already, like against Villa when they won 3-1. So I thought they might do something different against the similar thing against a very in-form Newcastle side. But in the end, it didn't quite turn out that way. Obviously, Newcastle looked better in the end. Obviously, should have ended up winning 1-0, but he got this one wrong. And yeah, they went 2-1 Palace. It did not end out that way.
I always seem to bet against Palace, and this week I thought actually no, I'm going to go with them because they've proven me wrong on many an occasion. So I went for 3-2 and a 5-goal thriller, but didn't pay off. Ended 0-0 on Newcastle with a better team.
Yeah, I went for a 2-2 draw. I think I got 1 point for this game. I mean, I think there was plenty of shots, but there was nobody actually. I mean, you had the incident with Newcastle, but nobody actually scored really. So I think it was a very close game, really.
Well, I mean, I got robbed by VAR. I should have got a point for this game. I was the only one to go for a Newcastle victory. I went 3-2 for Newcastle. Not really as many goals as I expected. It was one of those where it's either going to be a lot of goals between two sides or a complete shutout. And I think, Newcastle deserved the victory, but VAR just can't do their job. I think just get it out,
Yeah, well, next game up anyway.
One game that did end 3-2, Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, and not to the way we expected.
A surprising Bournemouth win. I don't think anyone predicted them to win, but I'm going to say me, Joe and Ryan all predicted a 2-0 Forest win. Forest did score 2 in the end, but they just conceded 3, which was the problem with that.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually watch this game, to be fair. Obviously, Bournemouth, they just had some new energy under their new manager, I guess. Like the new manager bounce, I guess that really came into play for them. And obviously managed to get some inspiration from him and for the win.
From looking at the highlights, the incredible goal by Billing was definitely a way back for Bournemouth, and they kind of continued on from that, and you can see their work ethic was very, very strong. They might not have had the players, but I guess neither did Forest, but they retaliated very, very well and got back and got themselves the win, so that's the most important part.
Yeah, well, Ryan, you also predicted 2-0. What do you want to say?
I just don't know what inspired Bournemouth to all of a sudden actually be decent. I mean, I know Scott Parker's not really the ideal manager, but you still got to play for him. They just showed a bit of passion for once, and I think they actually showed they wanted to win a football game instead of just being miserable and being terrible under Scott Parker. It just gave me the vibe that they didn't really like Scott Parker, wanted him out, and then they start performing.
You say that, but it was very reminiscent to me of the first game of the season when they beat Villa, and Parker was in charge then, and that was a good game.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Tom, you predicted 3-0 to Forest, didn't you? The only one that didn't predict 2-0.
I think Forest quite a bit on this one, but I think the Frog just thinks he's playing career mode or something. Like, he's got so many players, but it's going to take a while for them to gel together, really.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it does remind me very much of course not in the same way, but Leeds United in the early 2000s when, of course, they spent all of that money expecting to win the league, and they were dead on to do so and finished second, of course, in that year. And from then on, because they didn't win the league, they were bankrupt and all the players left and they went down 2 divisions just in the next 2 years.
To
and that could happen to Forest here.
The Frog is the Nottingham Forest manager.
Bit rude to Steve Cooper, really. Let's move on to the next game.
Looks like a
Just
frog.
his features. Tottenham Hotspur versus Fulham at the
Joe,
Hotspur Stadium.
Tottenham fan, you want to start us off?
So 2-1 it was to Spurs. I think it was a decent performance, of course, lacking somewhat in the defensive department. I think that Romero was having a bit of a dodgy game compared to, of course, in marking Mitrovic, he did struggle. And that's what led to the concession of the goal.
Yeah.
2 goals will definitely take. Højbjerg and Bentancur providing a very deadly midfield again, and Kane, of course, is always on target. To take away from that game, 2 goals ruled out by VAR for Spurs, so a little bit annoying. But I went for 3-0 in this game to Spurs. Was not expecting that 2-1, but I'll take it.
Yeah, well, Tom?
I went for 2-1 to Spurs on this one. I got 3 points for this game. I mean, you talk about Romero struggling to mark Mitrovic. I think most defenders do struggle to mark him in a kind of way.
He's been very good this season so far. He's a big physical player.
Yeah, that's why most defenders kind of struggle against him. And he's starting to pick up quite a few goals now.
Yeah, he is.
So I think he's going to be... I think he was a little bit underrated in a kind of way, because he normally doesn't make the step up in the Premier League.
Yeah, he normally doesn't. But this season he has fair play to him. Ryan, I believe you also got 3 points this game.
Tom and Tottenham, not the only people to get 3 points. I also got 3 points saying 2-1. I think it panned out exactly as I predicted. Tottenham were pushing, got 2 goals, got Kane to score correct, and then Mitrovic to get a late winner. Not really push, it's more of a constellation, and I guess that's what happened, and I think Mitrovic, I also predicted him to score, so really just panned out how I predicted.
Yeah, and for me, I predicted a 2-0 Tottenham win. I got them to score the amount of goals. I didn't expect them to concede, which maybe I should have. Mitrovic has been very good this season. I just thought that despite Mitrovic, the Tottenham quality compared to the rest of the Fulham team, they would have been able to sort of keep them pegged back and stop Fulham from getting forward. And not, did I say Bournemouth? I meant Fulham, obviously. Stop them from getting forward and allow Mitrovic to score, which in the end didn't happen. Mitrovic did get a goal and ended 2-1. I predicted 2-0. Decent prediction, but not the best.
Alright, the final 3 o'clock game was Wolves versus Southampton at the Molineux.
Interesting game. Did anyone predict a Wolves win? Yeah.
It was 1-0 to Wolves. I don't think anyone did they?
No one did.
So no points.
I actually betted quite heavily against Wolves for this one. I went for a 2-0 Southampton win. I'd been impressed with their recent form, and I did believe they'd continue that good run of form. So they do go on those like decent runs of form and then poor runs of form. I thought they'd continue playing really well. Obviously didn't happen. Podence managed to get the winner for Wolves, I think, in the first half. And yeah, I mean, finally a win for the season for Wolves, and hopefully they can turn it around. So I think they're a decent team.
For me, I went for 1-0 for Wolves, but I'm pretty sure one thing is, I think their striker got injured, wasn't it? What was his name?
Sasa Kalajic.
Yeah. So they're probably going to have to trying to get Diego Cuesta in there, pretty sure.
I'm not sure how well that will work out for them.
I think
he might be a bit past
His teeth
it,
are
but
chomping.
he will be aggressive. I think he'll play a similar role to what Jimenez did for his injury, so maybe it'll work out for them. Joe, what did
I went for 2-2, and I think a draw was probably the most likely outcome, especially considering Southampton's goal, which was of course ruled out. Jay Adams with the supposed handball,
wasn't it?
But VAR again proving quite a vital role in this game. Wolves did deserve the win. I've got to feel bad for the Austrian international Goliath getting injured. Could possibly be out for a year now. Considering his Wolves' big spend this year.
Have him out for a year.
Yeah, you got to feel bad for them.
Yeah,
But they'll take 3 points.
Yeah, Ryan?
Well, I'm rapidly falling out of love with football because of VAR. I mean, another mistake. I mean, it came off his shoulder, which in other instances isn't defined as the arm. So it's not the arm, it's a goal. And then that could inspire a comeback, a 2-1, which I would have predicted, which I predicted. And I think, Southampton could feel hard done by, but I think VAR, the main message is get out.
I definitely agree with the VAR. Is a lot of people agree, like David Moyes, Jamie Hara. They've all said, it is affecting people's kind of passion for the game.
It seems to be getting worse whenever.
And the double standards and hypocrisy of it's all right for one team but not for another as well, and they can pick and choose what to VAR. That's
just
all
depends.
confusing to me.
It depends how much money you've got in the bank.
Yeah,
They'll see me.
like we said, we'll make a whole video on this,
Yeah.
I imagine. But let's move on to the next game.
Aston Villa versus Manchester City.
No one got anywhere near this,
No, it's
really.
pretty hard.
I was in theory the closest with a 3-0 Villa win. You guys predicted
Yeah, but that's
City.
like saying-
No, 3-0 City win, sorry. I
It's not really
predicted.
close, is it?
You guys predicted City to get more goals against Villa. I predicted City to win 3-0. Villa, they actually showed some promising signs after going 1-0 down. They managed to fall back and they showed the courage to get forward and attack City. I think they're playing with a nothing to lose mentality by the end of the game, and were very unfortunate to have Coutinho's winner ruled out.
I went for 4-0 for City. I mean, I think if City did smash it, I think Stevie G would be on the verge of losing his job, really. But I think he's just about...
Very good performance from Villa, did enough
Balanced it
to keep
out.
his job for a bit.
I reckon it'd be at job seekers
You
by
went
next 2 weeks.
You went 4-0 as well, didn't
I
you?
went 4-0. I just think referees, again, ruining the game. Like, why blow so early? I think the linesman, he's not stuck to the rule where if it's a dodgy one, you don't put your flag up until the play stopped, because it gives VAR an opportunity to look at it. But of course, another bloody mistake. Oh, maybe he's probably got 50 grand. Pep's gone, yeah, 50 grand, mate. Yeah, put the flag up. Yeah, of course it's benefited them. I mean, just...
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, it's literally the best league in the world, and you've got stupid mistakes by
Awful
some
ref. Yeah.
stupid people. It's
Yeah,
just
the
not good enough.
The referee's not been a good
Simply not good
It's
enough.
pretty hard to talk about this game without talking about VAR and the role it played and the controversial decision towards the end. I mean, someone shoot that linesman. But at the same time,
Jesus.
I was the furthest away from this. I went for 5-0 to Man City, and I think Villa really did show a lot of backbone. And Gerrard might have proved himself to actually be not as incompetent as many people thought.
Yeah. Well, the last game of the weekend now, I believe it's the last one.
Oh, there's
United.
2 left. There's 2 left.
Two left. What one haven't we
We've got
done?
Brighton versus Leicester. The
Brighton
early
next
Sunday game.
Tom, Brighton fan, you want to
But
start
there was
us off?
another VAR incident which we should have got the goal.
You still won 5-2, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
but, yeah, but it
Not too.
doesn't make it right, does it?
No, but you still won. It didn't affect the outcome of the game, really. And, well, what did you predict on?
I mean, I predicted 2-1 to Brighton on this one. Scored quite a few more than I predicted. I don't think we had the goal threat, but because we don't really have a promising striker. But I think we tend to get the goal from other positions, like the midfield. We saw Billy Gilmore come on for a few minutes. He looked right, but I haven't seen too much of him.
Yeah.
Then there's Yinda.
Could be alright. I think he needs a
little
manager
bit,
that believes in him, to be fair. For this game, I went for a 2-0 Brighton win. I thought that Leicester wouldn't really show too much, but I wasn't expecting Brighton to play so well, really. Managed to get 5 goals. Kind of shocked Leicester scored 2 if Brighton were playing that well, but in the end, got a point for this prediction. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I went for 3-1 to Brighton for this one. Again, like you say, Tom, I think McAllister will be feeling very, very hard done by, and it was a stupid goal to rule out. Welbeck didn't even touch the ball, so apparently he was interfering with play for going for an overhead kick. Not really understanding any of that.
Literally an inch off. Like, a toner. How does
And
that
he didn't
affect
touch
the
it
game?
either. So McAllister scored one of the best goals of his career, and it's been chalked off like that. And I agree with the horror in saying that.
Did you not see the free kick?
Completely, I did, but I was about to come on to that. It's got to a point. It's disgusting that you're taking away incredible goals like that.
That's what people want to see
could
when
have
they
been
watch the game.
exactly that could have been goal of the month, and you've taken it away for a stupid, minute decision. But then, of course, you did make it. I thought that was going to deflate his confidence for a long, long time, but but he went on and scored a fantastic free kicks and the penalty as well. 5-2 to Brighton, and I think Leicester do have issues.
Yeah, Ryan.
Well, I went 2-0. I mean, Brighton. Tom could be the first to admit they're not the side to score buckets of goals, but they do always get a result, so that's why I went for a 2-0. I mean, Leicester poor, so poor currently, but I just think, Brighton showed their class. VAR tried to ruin the day out, an easy victory, to be fair, good showing from Brighton. Ruined McAllister's probably one of the best hat-tricks we've seen in quite a long time.
Yeah, well, let's move on to actually the last game this time.
Yeah.
Arsenal versus United ended
At Old Trafford.
3-1 United. Ryan, do you want to start us off considering you got it right?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I was the only one that actually backed United because I'm the only one that's got ball knowledge. Only kidding, lads. Arsenal are, when I say frauds, like they can play well, but they can't get the results because they can't put the ball in the back of the net. And that's why I called them frauds. They can play against lower sides, but against the big clubs, they can play well, can play fantastic football like we saw yesterday, but they can't get the results.
Well, I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm the first to say that Arsenal were unlucky yesterday with that goal being ruled out. I think it was, again, should easily have stood.
It's one of those 50-50s,
Yeah, but I don't think it should have been ruled out.
What did you predict anyway?
Win of
I'm for
change
1-1
the
here.
end.
This was probably the hardest one to predict, and we all did agree on that at the time.
Yeah.
I was either going for a United win or a draw because I knew Arsenal wouldn't win because they never do away from home against a big team. But I'll think 3-1 to United will definitely increase confidence within the United training camp.
Well, Anthony had a very good game as well, didn't he? He did get the goal, but Rashford also had a good game, which is surprising because even though the whole team has shown a resurgence recently, he still sort of looked lacklustre in most games, but managed to get himself 2 goals and an assist, so in the end he played pretty well. Anthony obviously got his debut goal, United fans were really pleased with, and overall United just played on the counter-attack. Arsenal sort of played into that really, didn't really change their tactics, and Ten Hag did a good job in managing that game.
What did you go for?
I went for a 1-0 Arsenal win.
I mean, I went for a 2-0 United. Didn't really see a goal threat from Arsenal.
Anyway, I mean, I'm kind of back to Mikel Arteta boys, really. I went for 2-0 to Arsenal. I mean, they play very good football, as you say. I mean, you talk about them not doing it at big teams, but it might just be the odd game where they struggle. Because they've had a consistent amount of games running where they keep on winning. So and the team's still young, so I think that's definitely it's gonna always improve at the moment anyway.
Yeah, that's alright. Anyway, that is the end of our game week 6 reactions. Me and Joe didn't have the best week. Ryan and Tom obviously caught up a bit in the predictions, and we haven't done this in a while. We'll tell you the scores after this week. After match week 6, Joe is still in the lead on 39 points now. Tom and Ryan both have 37, I believe, we worked out, and I am now on 35 after a very poor week.
Right.
That is the end of the video now.
6 weeks down.
Yep.
32 to go.
Remember to...
It's going to be a long time. Remember,
like and subscribe.
Listen to Tommy, otherwise he'll kill you in your sleep. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Every little help.